win there in the first round of the playoffs. What was it like for you out there going 120 minutes in that wild instant classic?
Well, nerve-wracking, obviously. Um, in the playoffs, it's do or die. You led into almost 3 goals that could have been avoidable. We dig ourselves in a hole, but luckily Jordan pulled us out. Steph played extremely well. The team was committed, and we came out with the victory. But like I said, do or die. Another tough one against RSL, but the fact that we're at home, I feel we have a big advantage with our fans. So we're excited about it.
The new playoff shift this year to single elimination, how did that change the mentality not only before the match but throughout the match, knowing that it's for one of these teams the season ends today?
Well, like I said, do or die. So you play every ball, every play like it's the final, and that's the beauty and the tough part about playing the MLS. It's tough, with all the travel, and being a one game series almost, one game, do or die situation. It makes things great, but also very nerve-wracking for both teams.
And only a couple days of practice before RSL here comes up on Wednesday. Any kind of change in how you prepare for this playoff match compared to what it was like coming back from the national team last week?
Well, I think compared to our previous game, we have to be a little bit more organized, both in set pieces, avoiding counterattacks. This is a team that plays a free-flowing attack, and we have to just be mindful of where they're at. Defensively, be organized, and then offensively, we got to take advantage of our opportunities. I think in the last game, we should have put the game away at 2-0, maybe 3-0, and then we don't have to stress about the rest of the game. So in that sense, I would say just be sound defensively, be organized, and then be ready to score our chances.
RSL, who played then Portland later that evening after you guys played, how much did you watch of that game? What did you take from seeing them play that game?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. Obviously, difficult conditions for both teams, and it may have impacted the game a little bit, but RSL played extremely well in the first half. They were very dominant, and then in the second half, you saw it with us, you saw it with them, a bit of a let-off, and Portland was able to capitalize 1 goal. They could have went up 2-1, but like I said, if you keep a team in the game, they'll punish you in the playoffs. So it's about that time where we need to really take advantage of the opportunities and shut the game down early.
Speaking of that, it seemed like Seattle was playing at a high intensity level initially. Did tiredness and did the team get physically tired, and that's why that drop off came off in the middle of that first half?
Yeah, I think a couple things. The intensity in the first half, obviously. The second half was a bit slower for us specifically. Dallas, obviously, with when they scored the goal, they went up. They had momentum. They felt the confidence. So a little bit on Dallas, a little bit on us. But it's the playoffs, man. It doesn't matter if you're tired. You play the 90, 120 minutes, and you move on to the next game, and that's what we're doing.
Having 8 guys leaving for international duty and Dallas not having to drop off any, do you think they were physically just better or not with as much wear and tear as you guys had?
Certainly, you can say that. You can say, we traveled quite a bit, and guys, Dallas was rested, but they're also playing on the road. And at the same time, you gain that bit of, what's the word? Trying to find the right word to describe this. You keep the momentum going. You're in games. Jordan, for example, came off the Cuba game with 3 assists and a goal. And then you come back here and he scores a hat trick. So sometimes when you come back from national team duty, you feel a little bit sharper. And I think that was the case. Yeah, your legs are a little bit tired, but you see guys step up, and a lot of guys that from the national team that went into their games played extremely well and scored a couple goals this weekend. So no excuses. And honestly, the national team probably helped us quite a bit.
When you have as many games, as much travel as you and Jordan have had these last couple weeks, do you have to change anything recovery-wise when you have such a short window between games?
Recovery-wise, I don't think you change much. I mean, you obviously sleep a little bit more. You eat right, but it's the same thing we've been doing all year. I think you don't change too much. You're still the same professional you were during the regular season. Obviously, we have all these new recovery systems with Normatex and cryotherapy and all these things and ice baths, but it's all relatively the same. And the only thing I would say is it's difficult for guys like Jordan coming off an injury and then playing on turf and then traveling. So that's the tough part. It's how much do you manage versus risk guys in the playoffs, because it's a do or die situation.
Did you want to sleep most of the day yesterday?
Yeah, I laid on the couch for quite a bit. I watched probably four soccer games, and in a way it was really nice to not do anything and not have to worry about anything, watching the playoff games knowing that you're in the next round.
On that last play at the end of second half stoppage time where Acosta gets out on the break and it's basically just you on an island back there, what's going through your mind in a sequence like that when you're tracking back and trying to measure the angles and stuff, and what's your approach there?
Well, you don't get put in that situation too often, especially me. I'm not the fastest guy around, so trying to make ground and cover space that is normally protected is rather interesting. But I've watched enough soccer that if you try to make the decision for the guy, if you try to alter his decision, because I knew he wanted to play it across the whole time, but if you start trying to avoid that pass, trying to block that pass, you make his life difficult because you make him make a decision that he doesn't want to make. So that was my whole thought process, and luckily it worked. Kim did a great job of recovering. You're playing a 2v1 situation and you're trying to make it predictable for Steph, so that was my goal at the end of the day, and luckily he shot it over. But scary moment for us, and like I said, we need to be more organized and we can't give up those chances against RSL.
It seems like matchups with RSL, especially in recent years, just even when you guys play here, it's always like a tight game, like a 1-0 or like a 1-goal game. Playing against them, what have you noticed that makes them these sort of tough, gritty kind of matchups?
Well, obviously with veteran guys like Kyle Beckerman, and then you add guys like that have a lot of finesse, that have a lot of skill, like Rusnak, and then you have a big guy like Krylak. It makes life difficult. They've always been a team that has played well home and away against us, and they're just ready. They're up for it, and we have to match that intensity. And if we match the intensity and use our talent, then we'll be all right. But it's about matching that intensity first and foremost, and taking care of our opportunities at hand. But they have quality players, and they make life difficult for all the teams around the league. Quietly too. They do it very, very quietly.
Yeah. Morris obviously comes up with the big game. Just can you talk a little bit about what you've seen as his progression over this year as he's come back from his injury?
From Jordan, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we knew. I think we're utilizing Jordan a lot more. I think in the first half of the season, when he was playing outright, we didn't play as direct into him, or we didn't isolate him enough. And then obviously in the shift to left mid, him coming back from Gold Cup, I thought he's been a lot sharper. He's been wanting the ball. He's been fitter. I mean, all the above. He checks all the boxes. And obviously moving out to the left, he had a couple games where he did extremely well, and his confidence was really high. So I think we're utilizing him more, and we're using his strengths, and he loves that drag move to the left. So teams are scared of that, and it opens up space for other people. So he's progressed. I mean, he's a lot stronger. He's a lot fitter since his injury, and he works hard and has a different perspective on life. And honestly, as tough it was for Jordan, it was a blessing in disguise, because he's been tremendous and has a great mentality going forward.
Do you think the nature of the win against Dallas kind of helps prepare the team for the rest of the playoffs?
In a way, yeah. The intensity, the fight that Dallas showed, we're anticipating another game like that. And if you anticipate a game like that, you'll be ready for a fight, for a test, and we're excited. But credit to Dallas. They came out and showed it, and now they prepared us for another big game.
What about learning from
Last couple
mistakes
for Cristian,
and set pieces? How do you work as a team to make sure that those don't happen?
Well, be more organized, be more aware, communicate more. There were a couple instances where they played a quick corner, and we just have to be alert and pick a guy, even if it's not your guy. We can solve that later, but everybody has to be accounted for, and I think that was the case in this game. We need to be aware and communicate more on set pieces. But in the end, we scored 1-2, so you can't complain too much. But we can be more organized for sure.